Hi, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Tuesday, January 5th. News today begins with guns. President Obama held his promised news conference on what he intends to do by executive order to try and do something about gun safety in America. It includes trying to be sure that all regular sellers of guns have to go through the background check procedure. This is to address the so-called gun show loophole. He'd like to have stronger reporting on stolen and lost weapons. He's going to put more people to work at the ATF to work on gun background checks. All of these things, it seems to me, and to most authorities, don't believe run afoul of the Second Amendment. But the Republican Party has begun an orchestrated backlash with nearly carbon copy statements from virtually every politician in the Republican Party that this is an infringement on Second Amendment rights. I think they recognize that polls show most Americans favor universal background checks on gun sales. Tom Cotton, Asa Hutchinson, Leslie Rutledge, and others in Arkansas have all decried what Obama is doing as somehow an infringement on Second Amendment rights. If they are, you would presume that existing background checks are also an infringement on Second Amendment rights. Justice Antonin Scalia has made clear that some amount of regulation in guns is permissible under the Second Amendment, just as long as you don't infringe on the right of people to bear arms. That doesn't mean they can be without regulation. Elsewhere, Circuit Judge Herb Wright in Little Rock today again refused a state's request to allow some admission of physical evidence, a spot of blood and a hair found in the trunk of a car driven by murder suspect Aaron Lewis, who's accused of killing Beverly Carter, a real estate agent. He did allow the introduction of some evidence that the defense had objected to. It's a cell phone recording that Lewis made of the victim that he played for police officers during an interrogation that is otherwise not admissible as evidence. But the fact that he had a cell phone with her voice on it can be admitted in the trial, and that will contribute to case the prosecutors still think they can make in this murder case. Little Rock School Superintendent Baker Curris today talked about plans to open the 6th grade of a new West Little Rock Middle School out on Highway 10 next year and to add 2 grades later, and also to move forward with a new high school to replace McClellan High School in Southwest Little Rock. His statement today indicated he perhaps might be considering whether to combine both McClellan and J. Fair in a single high school for Southwest Little Rock, although that decision has not yet been made. The Arkansas Arts Center, a committee supporting the expansion of that facility, held a news conference today to announce its effort to win approval of a bond issue to pay for the expansion project in a February 9th special election in Little Rock. We're hoping to find out details about the promise for some private money to match the public money that would go into this project. Taxes will be raised on hotel rooms to support the bond issues. Sometimes in public-private partnerships like the Little Rock Tech Park, the promise of private money never materializes, but the public taxpayers always pay their load, and what work can be done without the private money is one question yet to be answered on the Arts Center project. Southwest Airlines tomorrow will resume a nonstop flight from Little Rock to St. Louis, something we enjoyed for years but have been without. That'll be good news to Little Rock people. The airport says do your community duty and fly to St. Louis. Of course, you should only fly if you need to. What we need are more people in Little Rock to fly more to increase the passenger load at the state airport. State income and sales taxes are down again in the month of December against last year, but they are ahead of the revenue forecast, so that means there's a little bit of a surplus building. Asa Hutchinson has formally told the federal government he'd like to continue Obamacare's Medicaid expansion in Arkansas, but want to make some changes that makes it a little harder and a little more expensive for the working poor to qualify for the insurance. This is to make it more acceptable to Republicans who don't like Obamacare very much. The federal government isn't expected to accept some of these things. Some of these things are just politics, but Asa Care is needed by him to balance his budget, so he's going to push for it with whatever cosmetic changes he can find. And finally, on the Arkansas blog, another interesting article. You may know that the Arkansas Times has been pretty outspoken in opposition to the idea to expand Interstate 30 in downtown Little Rock to 10 lanes wide. We think it's disruptive to the neighborhood, and it's more traffic flow than is needed by the traffic demand. Interesting article on traffic statistics in booming Houston, where they've spent billions of dollars expanding the Katy Freeway on Interstate 10 west of town from 8 lanes to now 23 lanes. And guess what? The commuting time is slower than it has ever been. There you go. But they have poured some concrete, and that's made some people happy, highway contractors at least. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.